Our feeble attempt to make something out of nothing is called identification. And this is our feeble attempt because it does not last. No identity lasts. Even in the short span of our lives. Yesterday I was sharing, because he asked, I was sharing that even in the spiritual journey, there have been so many identities that have been taken on here, isn't it? The art of living, this and that. Yeah. Why is that identity so unstable? Why is it constantly changing? Because it has no ground to stand on. It has no reality to exist upon. And that's why the sense of this identity is constantly suffering with few glimpses of joy here and there. Because it cannot succeed in making an entity out of you, in making you another thing. That it cannot do. But it continues to be the job of the mind to keep trying. And it keeps on and on and on. Even when the mind is saying that I stop now, promise, I stopped. It's still trying to convince you of the separation which can never happen. Therefore, if we say oneness, or we say nothingness, or emptiness, none of these words actually come close. Because if you are not an entity, all of these words are meaningless. If you are no thing, then the concept of being characterized as one thing or two things, you know, as a jnani or a bhakta, Advaitin or a devotee, all of this doesn't matter to you, isn't it? All of these are also labels, also identities. And the truth is not interested in any label. At best, these labels can be pointers. But if all that I did after satsang is make a Advaitin out of you, then satsang is not worked. I'm just showing you a mirror, and this mirror is saying that there is nothing there, that there is nobody home. And it can seem like an attack when something like this is said. You are nothing. It can seem like an attack. That's why I like to say that you are no thing. You cannot be a mere thing. You see. The mind wants to make a glorious person out of you. But the most glorious person in all its glory cannot become real. You are already that which is real. You are already the truth. So the most amazing sounding ideas from the mind even the most humble sounding ideas from the mind, are still trying to perpetuate only the identity. They're still referring to you as something. So this is what I mean when I say, don't be anything at all. Don't be something. And this is your natural state. It is not work. And for most of you, it is becoming clear that it is identification which is effort and not the resting in the natural state. If you drop all ideas of I'm not there yet, I'm not worthy yet, I'm not awake yet, all of this, if you drop for just a minute, you yourself will see clearly that to identify is a lot of effort. And you are tired of it, that's why you are in satsang. It cannot be that you are continuing to enjoy the Leela so much and yet your feet walk towards satsang. So something there already knows that this game is tired, has tired me out now, and I'm done playing. But the ticket seller for this game does not give up so easily. It is saying, okay, now there is a new version of the game. And this game is called spirituality. So far you were playing materialistic game and you're tired of it. Okay, okay, good. But I have a new one for you. And it is called spirituality. And what is the end of this game? You will discover the truths. It is trying to sell you this ticket. And you play this game like you play snakes and ladders. One day when the states are good, you say, oh, I climbed up the ladder, I must be making progress towards God. The second day when the states are not so good, you say, we got bitten by a snake, we are down again in the bottom. I'm here to tell you that even this game is not acquired. It is just like any other game. Of what use, of what value would that God be which is to be found at the end of some game? Let us now find the God which is here right now. Because if God is eternal, if God is omnipresent, then both in time and space also it must exist now. Should I put my head up a bit? Okay. So, who can tell me that God is not here now? Because for many millennia have asked this question, can you show me God? Isn't it? We have heard many stories like this, where many great sages also started their quest with this question, and they would go to many masters and they would say, can you show me God? Sometimes they would say, have you seen God? Which is a very powerful question to ask a master, you see. Which actually means that have you had the living experience of God, or are you also just speaking conceptually from some concepts or some presumptions of God? So this is very, have you seen God? And then, if the answer is in the affirmative, then you can say, can you show me God? So the master must not speak from a presumed idea. If he is also still living in presumptions, then how will he lead you out of this world of concepts? So here when someone asks, can you show me God? Then I know that when I say that your own consciousness, your own being is God, it can seem like a little confusing to the mind. Because I myself dealt with this confusion for a long time. Therefore, I do not say, find your being. I don't say, find your being. I say, can you stop being? And when you hear this question, you must really try to stop. Stop being. Because the question has to be tasted, you see. You cannot just give it to the mind and go, okay, no, no, obviously not, and then say no. You have to taste the question. Can I stop being now? And the answer comes no. It is seen. See, when the answer is coming from a place of seeing, then it is valuable. If it is just coming from some understanding that no, no, being is always here, how can you stop? Then it's not worthwhile. You can see right now that the presence is here, being is here. That in the light of which I call this the waking state, that is here. And it cannot be stopped. With the discovery of your presence, the sense I am, being, Atma, is as simple as this. If you don't go along with the thought of the mind which says, but it cannot be that simple. Because you hear about the yogis and the sadhus who do sadhana for decades and decades in search for God, in search for consciousness. That which is right under your nose seems like it is the most difficult to find, isn't it? Because we go here and there looking for God, looking for ourselves, we go everywhere, but we never, or we rarely ever stop and see what is already here. This is the trick. There's a Hindi movie I was watching recently, and in that Hindi movie, and Amaya might have seen this one, it's called Jab We Met. So in this movie, what happens is that there's this big situation, and there's this boy and girl who want to run away from home. They want to run away, and so what do they decide? They said that we are going to pretend as if we ran away and come back into the house and come back into the through the back door. And while everybody's out looking for them, they are hiding inside the house because nobody is looking for them inside the house. This is what the spiritual search has become. You're looking here, there, here, everywhere, everywhere. But where is God to be found? Already here. Cannot leave. Your own presence cannot leave you. So if you're authentically searching for the truth and not some concept of God which you have picked up along the way, then that is ever present. It's your own holy presence. And that's why it must be that Papaji, sometimes in videos you see him and he says, don't move an inch, don't stir a thought. He says like this, don't move now, don't move. Which means what? Don't go here, there, anywhere, just here. Therefore, just in this simple question, inquiry, can I stop being now? Who else is here? Except this presence, is there anyone else here? And for this, you can have one very beautiful answer, which is the only answer that I will accept. So I say that this presence is here. Who else is here? And you can say, I am that which is aware even of this presence. And ultimately, even this presence is appearing and disappearing inside me. I, as this awareness. And when you see like this, you will discover the power of the story that Mujiji tells about the visitor for the king who says, I am even higher than God. It is not coming from arrogance, it is coming from nothingness. That nothing which is aware even of the presence of consciousness. Because even presence you are aware of. What must you be? What must you be if even this presence of God you are aware of it? You cannot fathom your own magnificence. We cannot fathom our own magnificence and believing ourselves to be just this dream character or this live action role play character. David typed something which caught my attention now. He said, I had the question this morning, Father, what does it mean to see through the eyes of the Absolute? This is exactly what we are saying right now, actually, isn't it? Because that which is aware even of presence, which eyes must those be? So, this presence, in the light of which all of this play of the multiverses comes into play, time, space, gravity, electricity, evolution, all these energies come into play through the supreme intelligence of this presence itself. You are that which is aware even of this presence being born and it dissolving inside you. This must be the eyes of the Absolute, isn't it? Yes, and then you say, I think you have been describing it. So now, which problem can you have? What can make you suffer without picking up some falsehood? You are that which is aware of all appearances, all the comings and goings of this world. You are aware of the comings and goings of millions of bodies which you have called my body. You are aware even of that. Now, as this awareness, what can you report? Is this awareness interested? Does it have a desire for anything at all? And you have to do nothing to become this. In fact, you cannot do anything to not be this. Nothing can truly make a person out of you. So when you say that, how do I abide in this? I say that you cannot not abide in this. You are always abiding only in this. So what you might mean actually is, how do I stop pretending to be a person? How does consciousness stop pretending to be a person? That must be the meaning of abiding. See? Abiding cannot be that you are actually not the awareness anymore and you must become the awareness and stay as that. It must only mean that we stop pretending as if we are something else. How do you know it is a pretense? How do you know that the person is a pretense? How can it not be a pretense? Because when you look for it, you cannot find it. See, if you are having a conversation about any other topic in the world, and you would come with a presumption like this, that I cannot see it. I've never found it. Just these voices come and tell me that I am that. So suppose that the voice in your head was telling you that you are the King of England. Suppose this is what the voice was telling you. You are the King of England. And you believe this voice and you're convinced. You see, so you talk to anybody in the world and they will say, okay, what evidence do you have? Can you show a birth certificate? Can you show a family tree? Can you show something? But when everybody says, I am a person, this is the collective hypnosis, you see. The collective hypnosis that nobody asked. So, how do you know that you are a person? Can you show me where this person is? Show me some evidence of its existence. But nobody asked this question. Very rare in this realm for this question to be asked. Everybody is interested in the attributes of the person. What do you like? What don't you like? What are your tastes? All of these things. What are your goals? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What's your 5-year plan? All the questions that your human resources team is telling you to ask. All these things. You'll find out a lot about this person. Are you really motivated? Are you driven? All these attributes of the person. Nobody says, how do you know that you are a person? Because it seems like it is the obvious, most obvious thing that you must be a person. And all of this suddenly becomes more real when I say person instead of saying ego. But it is actually same thing. The sense of separation, the sense of separateness. So this work of fiction, this work of imagination is the basis of most of our desires and aversions. All of our desires and aversions. So the only question then left is, are you open enough to this possibility that you are no thing? Or would you still rather live in the delusion of being something because you have some fear of what seems like emptiness? You see? Because sometimes we will say that I would rather be a suffering, miserable something than not know what I am. So we must be honest with this. You see. You cannot avoid this not knowingness. It comes like this. You want to go from certainty to certainty. You say, I was sure that I'm a person. You say, I'm not a person. So give me some certainty about what I am. Then I'll be willing to be open. You tell me I'm God. Yes, this sounds good. There's some certainty about it. But don't tell me I'm nothing, you see. Because I would rather be a miserable, suffering something than be a nothing. But how can a nothing suffer? And once you discover the magnificence of your nothingness, it is that in which all the something comes and goes. And you say, okay, okay, I'm willing to look more, because these kind of words I know are more reassuring. You see. So if I was to just leave it at that, you are nothing, forget about everything else. This could be the shortest satsang, actually. You are nothing, forget about it. You know? That's not very, it's not a aid to openness. So sometimes I have to make friends with your identity and say, you will discover that you are that greatness. Somebody says, yes, yes, something like this greatness I'm willing to discover about myself. This nothingness is not very attractive. This awareness that you are is aware of being. This awareness that you are cannot suffer, cannot have a story. It cannot even identify. See? So the problem of identification is not a problem that awareness is having. So this seeming problem is the play of the dynamic aspect of awareness, which is called consciousness or beingness or God or whatever. By the way, also I'm not very attached to definitions. Okay, so if your definition of God is different from mine, it is completely fine. If you say that God is the absolute, the awareness itself, I have no trouble with that. So don't get stuck in the definitions of what I'm saying. Just find the truth which requires no label. Then you will find that all labels are just used to express in this dynamic play. But ultimately, no label has any meaning.